Hello, cinema friends. Welcome to another edition of CineSundry. I'm your host, Markus Seaberry, and today we've got a different type of slave story as we review Alice. Okay, now before we get into our review of Alice, I want to remind you about our rating system. There it is. Now that first rating, that is our tour. That is for those top shelf, best of the best, tip-top films, probably some of the most interesting, brilliant, or groundbreaking projects that you've seen all year. That middle rating, appropriately enough, is middling. That is for those projects that had potential or promise, but they didn't quite come through or deliver on their potential or promise. So they're okay, but they're a little disappointing. And that last rating is heck. That is for those terrible, dismal, abysmal, god-awful projects that probably shouldn't have been made. And now that you know our rating system, let's get into the rundown. Okay, Alice is a film where Alice, a slave, escapes her plantation only to discover that she's actually in the year 1973. And let's talk about the script and acting. The script was interesting. It doesn't quite explain everything. You're kind of baffled over how she's in 1973. It's actually based on stories about people who were still on plantations long after the Emancipation Proclamation was signed, 13th Amendment was signed. I believe the actual true story that inspired this was a woman who was on a plantation in the 1960s. She escaped and got free in the 1960s. Again, it's a little muddy and confusing. I will say I like this cast. Got a very solid cast. First up is Alice. We have Keke Palmer, former child star, former talk show host. She's Alice. Alice is a very kind of timid, naive character, but she's also determined. And over the course of the movie, she kind of comes into her own and becomes her own hero. And also we have Common as Frank. Him, rapper, actor, producer. He's on the Shy TV show. He was in the film Ocean's 8. He was in films like Smoking Aces. Common is Frank. Frank was a revolutionary, righteous brother, fought the good fight. Seems like life has kind of beat him down. He's taking a day job. And he's lost his fighting spirit until he meets Alice. And I also want to say, this is one of Common's better performances. There's some times Mr. Lonnie Rashid Lynn struggled. I mean, like, come on, man. You take class to do better. But this one, Common's okay in this one. And, of course, next we have Johnny Lee Miller as Paul Bennett. He is the ruthless, evil slave master. Now, you may know Johnny Lee Miller from the indie classic Train Spotting and the Elementary TV series. He is not likable at all in this one. He is kind of terrible. I strongly disliked his character. And he's also under makeup, so I struggled to recognize him at first. It took me a minute. But still a good performance. And next we have Alicia Witt as Rachel. Rachel is the estranged wife of the slave master, Paul. And Alice kind of tracks her down in, regular 1973. And they meet up and she kind of explains how things are and what happened to her. A good performance, again, not a very likable character, but a good performance from Alicia Witt. And rounding out our cast, we have Gaius Charles. Now, you may remember Gaius Charles from the Friday Night Lights TV show, where he was briefly on Grey's Anatomy. He just did a stint on the TV show Queens. He plays Joseph. He's Alice's husband. Now, of course, Paul, the evil slave master, is jealous of their relationship, so he constantly punishes Joseph. but a solid performance from Gas Charles. And then let's talk about director's take the lead. The director of this film is Kristen Verlinden. According to IMDb, this is her directorial debut. There's promise. I will say that when it's supposed to be a plantation, it looks like a plantation, like it could be the 1800s. And when it's 1973, it looks like 1973 down to carpeting, furnishing, typewriters, as opposed to desktop computers. But I don't know. There's potential, there's promise, but she's not quite there yet. Like, she almost doesn't have full control of her powers yet. But I do see potential. And now let's talk about the sentiment and rating. Honestly, my sentiment when this one ended was one of confusion. I was like, what just happened? So she's in 1973. It's a little confusing. And a lot of critics have slammed this one. But you know me. I gotta root for the underdog. I gotta root for the little guys. Sometimes I gotta go left when everybody else is going right. And I don't completely hate this. You know, once Alice has her transformation, it feels a little blaxploitation-esque, which is a genre I love. You know, her afro, her gun. You know, she's a bad member gem. And also, I've gotta say I'm biased. If you give me a film where a slave master gets his, I'm gonna give you a little love. Maybe not a lot of love, but I'm gonna give you a little love. And so for these reasons, I'm gonna give Alice the rating of mid. Like I said, I saw potential, I saw promise. I know a lot of people disagree, but as always, that's fine. And you can give it whatever rating you want to on your show. But here at CineSundry, it gets a middling. And well, that's going to do it for me on this week's edition of CineSundry. I've been your host, Markus Seaberry, and as always, I ask that you like the video, comment on the video, and subscribe to the channel. And remember, guys, take some time, treat yourself to a movie. See you next time.